My name is Rick Hoff, and what I'll be presenting today will be optimization of your battery room using the GetCloud dashboard. And in the next 10 minutes, what I want to teach you is how to reduce some downtime, catch some battery issues before they become problems, and hopefully save you some time and money on budgeting and repairs as it pertains to the battery room. And then in the process, we're going to keep management happy, and hopefully if costly failures are keeping you at work too late, hopefully we can solve that problem too. Now, if I were to look at the largest battery users today and look at what we're faced with, if we compare it to just a few decades ago, we would see that we're using half the batteries to do twice the work, and we're not using data at all to make any of those decisions. And if you take a little trip with me down memory lane here, I'm going to try to prove that to you. See, since the 1980s, everything about the big box warehouse has changed. From the sheer size of the facility to the computer automated picking, and even what we do in terms of batteries. Does anybody here remember 3 batteries per truck? Remember those days? Well, you know, if we look in the 90s, early 90s, it was very common that multiple shift applications used 1 battery per truck per shift to do their job. And we used that for a long time. Until in the middle 80s, as we progressed through the 90s, we found out that if we pooled our batteries as an entire resource and we managed that asset as a pool, and then we use a first in, first out management system, we could then reduce our total batteries under roof and achieve the same job. And as a result, we saw it drop to about 2.5 batteries per shift doing the exact same job. And then as we approach the new millennia, we know that AC drives came in and totally changed the game in comparison to their DC counterparts. Matter of fact, we saw 30, 40% efficiency in drives. And as a result, we were able to now carve a little more off that battery to truck ratio, and we got down to about 2.2. And where are most customers today? Pat addressed this earlier. The large majority of our largest battery users today are using some form of opportunity charging. And as a result, they're using time, lunches, breaks, time between shifts to squeeze out yet a little more from that battery room. And we're down to about 1.5 to 1.8 batteries per truck. Literally half the batteries doing twice the work. And you know what? We're still not using any data to make those decisions. Unfortunately, by the time most managers in the warehouse find out that they have battery problems, it's usually too late. You know, how many of you would be on a road trip, a couple hours into it, have a check engine light, and just completely ignore it? Not too many of you, right? Well, how many of you would not only ignore it, but then continue to drive the vehicle, say, 10, 12 hours a day for the next 3 or 4 months? Okay? Because that's really what's happening today. If we continue to avoid it, we know that it's going to cost us more money. It's going to be a more expensive downtime if we ignore that check engine light, right? But the thing is, we're not talking about a single vehicle here. We're talking about people who manage an entire fleet of vehicles, okay? An entire fleet of batteries. And the thing is, they don't have any check engine light. They have no way of telling them that they need to pull over and take a look at it. So if I want to look at the 3 things that kill batteries, I don't think I'm going to get too much objection, especially in this room, that if we could control the depth of discharge, the battery temperature, and also we could address any improper charging, our chances of getting a longer battery life are going to improve. So how do most people deal with it? Well, this is the most common way. Okay, they ignore it. They just pretend it doesn't happen. Okay? What battery over temperature? What failure to water? What do you mean we're not equalizing? We just ignore it. Second method, this is commonly used. It's better than nothing, okay? We've been there. We've tried data before, but the problem with data solutions, they often are very expensive. They require somebody to put some software on a computer, keep it up to date, probably a proprietary software solution, maybe a Windows interface that needs to be kept up to date with the operating system. coordinated with the IT group to keep it up to date. Then if we actually get the thing downloaded, then we actually seldom know what to do with the reports once we get them. How do we interpret it? And that's the problem that we've had with Data Solutions. The solution that we're proposing, we've actually partnered with some Charger experts to create the smart dashboard, and it's part of the Get Cloud solution. And the advantages that we have here is that imagine now that every battery device actually has a wireless communicator on it, as well as every charger. And those wireless devices then periodically upload that information to a local device that then syncs it with the cloud. And that's what the Get Cloud is. We then configure your dashboard so that you now have early warning status. You now have a dashboard for every single battery and charger in your fleet. So if you go without watering, by KPI, we're looking at if temperature is your issue, if dry batteries, if overcharging, if under equalization is your issue, we can put a widget on your dashboard. Now we're going to do a walkthrough.
So at the entry page, we enter our email and our password. We sign in, and you'll notice that there's a nav panel at the top right that gives us a dashboard, My Fleets, Administration, My Account, and a logout. I'm going to look at My Fleet. You'll see we have 2 fleets set up, Fremont 1 and Warehouse 1. One has 12 and the other has 11 devices. Administration is used to not only edit, create fleets, but also to manage the devices associated with those fleets. What makes Get Cloud so powerful is a customizable dashboard. Using the widget tool, you can quickly customize a dashboard so that you are looking at only the most important aspects of your fleet as you have decided to focus. See, the widgets are a vast toolbox at your fingertips. Get Cloud has the key data parameters already identified and they're ready for you to use. You simply select the widget, the fleet, and the data you want to monitor, and Get Cloud creates the graphical display for your dashboard. You can see that in the first few seconds I've added the first 3 widgets to this dashboard. The one on the left tells me the fleet devices are communicating data back to Get Cloud, and the 2 on the right indicate whether I have any active alarms that need my immediate attention. Since this is a power meeting, I am going to speed things up here a bit so that we can get to the final result and you can see my fully configured dashboard. I will tell you this is step by step as I configured it, and in all it took me about 20 minutes to get the final result. So here's the dashboard. Once configured and organized, I can monitor 2 locations, one fast charge and one conventional with spares, side by side, and still have a pretty solid understanding of what's going on. I start with tables identifying the key benchmarks for battery performance that I want my fleet to achieve. They differ for both operations, so the parameters that I choose reflect that. Then I monitor how many EBUs per truck per day is being used. And alongside that, I have the maximum temperature from any device from that fleet. We address the depth of discharge question by looking at the charge start, state of charge for fast charging operations, and we also see how well our charging operation is going in our standard charge application by looking at the max charge volts per cell on the right. We can take another look at the depth of discharge for both operations by looking at the battery minimum volts per cell that's achieved during discharge. And lastly, we can look at the max battery temperatures for all discharge and charging operations for both fleets. See, Get Cloud changes the way we interface with our fleet. because we periodically sign in, we allow our widgets to update, we then carefully review the data, we understand exactly where things are, and then with confidence we can sign out and call it a day.